The unifying feature across all progressive ideology today is fundamentally anti-human. Whether it's the mad panic to get to net zero, irrespective of the human cost, or the gender botherers' relentless campaign to strip the term woman of all meaning, progressivism is at war with humanity. Abortion was sold to us as being safe, legal and rare. Now progressives insist that anything other than abortion up until birth, for any reason at all, is a violation of human rights. Same-sex marriage was sold to us about being love and equality. Within a few short years of its legislation, our finest political minds can't say for sure what a woman is. And 6 years ago, euthanasia was legalised in Canada for terminally ill people suffering intolerable pain and with the end in sight. But politicians are now about to allow euthanasia for the mentally ill, and academics are arguing in favour of euthanasia for the poor. That's right, 2 University of Toronto bioethicists have argued this month that it would be wrong for the state not to help poor people die if they've grown, weary of living in poverty. Writing in the Journal of Medical Ethics, Professor of Philosophy Amy Mullen argued, to force people who are already in unjust social circumstances to have to wait until those social circumstances improve, or for the possibility of public charity that sometimes is unreliable, that's unacceptable, she said. In a subsequent interview, she argued that refusing to kill the poor at their request amounts to perpetuating their suffering. Assisted dying would be, she said, the least harmful thing a government could do for such people. Medical assistance in dying was sold to Canadians as compassion for the terminally ill. Now it's being rolled out as a cure for mental illness, homelessness and poverty. An online survey of 1,000 Canadians conducted earlier this month by Research Co found 28% of people approved of state-sponsored death as a solution to homelessness, and 27% of people approved of it as a solution to poverty. Don't worry that life is getting harder. The government is making dying easier, as military veteran and 5-time Paralympian Christine Gautheir found out. Now, Gautheir told a parliamentary inquiry how she was offered death when she complained to Veteran Affairs about a delay installing a wheelchair ramp at her home.
I have a letter saying that if you are so desperate, madam, we can offer you medical assistance in dying.
Where's my wheelchair ramp? Well, I'm sorry, it's on back order. Would you like to die instead? That's not assisted suicide, that's very assisted suicide. And it wasn't an isolated case. Veteran Mark Menke told a parliamentary inquiry how an associate rang the Department of Veteran Affairs for support, only to be offered death.
But his primary concern was that during his original phone call with the VAC service agent, somehow in that conversation he was told, we've done it before and we can do it for you. First he asked, why are you asking me this? Well, I just thought you should know if up the road, but I'm in a good place right now. He expressed that to me that things were sunshine and roses prior to this phone call. He was feeling good about life. Post-phone call, he left the country because he was devastated by this phone call. It's called sanctuary trauma, where the place you go for help steps on your neck.
Veterans Minister Lawrence Macaulay told CBC News there were more instances of military veterans being told they should give death a chance.
To start with your ongoing investigations into veterans being offered medical assistance and dying by an employee of your department, has your investigation yielded any new cases? Where are we on that?
No, well, in fact, as you know, when it started first we had 2, and then we had the investigation. It went to 4. And
can't help you live, happy to help you die. So thoughtful of the government. But it's not just the government promoting death as a lifestyle choice that everyone should consider trying at least once. Fashion house La Maison Simons last year produced a 3-minute advertisement promoting euthanasia as the most beautiful exit.
Dying in a hospital is not what's natural. That's not what's soft. In these kind of moments, you need softness.
Viewers were told that last breaths are sacred as the narrator, an attractive woman in a wheelchair, is shown on a picturesque beach.
I spent my life filling my heart with beauty, with nature, with connection. So I choose to fill my final moments with the same. Last breaths are sacred.
The narration, backed by an inspirational musical score, is set to beautiful images of bubbles, candlelit forest, beaches and friends gathering around in support. The advertisement ends with a dedication to the 37-year-old narrator who ultimately ended her life with the help of the state. Oh, and there's a small logo for the fashion retailer. If you're not busy this afternoon being euthanised by the state, we recommend you check out some of their winter fashions. Narrator Jennifer Hatch wasn't terminally ill when she applied to be euthanised. She'd reportedly spent years trying to get treatment for chronic pain caused by an inherited disorder that affects connective tissue. She eventually applied for euthanasia and within weeks was approved. When it comes to healthcare, dying is fast becoming what the Canadians do best. The callous message goes something along the lines of, you can spend years seeking medical treatment and get nowhere, or you can apply for euthanasia and receive help in under a month. Death is the latest fashion, and corporations are now advertising for people to try it on. LeMason Simon's executive Peter Simon said the objective in shooting the video was to, quote, truly reflect who we want to be as a company. Simon said the company had made the courageous choice to use the privilege of our voice and platform to create something meaningful, something that is less about commerce and more about connection. Simon said the company had made the courageous choice to use the privilege of our voice and platform to create something meaningful, something that is less about commerce and more about connection. It's a pretty revealing insight into where Western culture is at right now when a respected corporation parades its social justice credentials by cheering vulnerable people to consider an early death. I know, I'm sounding anti-death, aren't I? I'll try to look on the bright side. Here's the good news. Canada's Parliamentary Budget Office issued a report in October 2020 stating that government-sponsored deaths would cut healthcare costs by about $66 million. Others predicted that euthanasia would save the health budget by up to $100 million annually. It's only a matter of time before the Canadian government starts asking citizens to kill themselves in order to save lives. And then, having killed the elderly, the disabled and those who can't afford internet, they'll be able to boast that they have the best healthcare system in the world since everyone left is alive and well. You think I'm joking? Iceland boasts about having eradicated Down syndrome. The unspoken part is that they've done this by aborting almost all unborn babies that test positive for the syndrome. To paraphrase Mother Teresa, there is no poverty like Western poverty.